Welcome back to Third Man In. I'm Zack Phillips, and in tonight's stream, we're going to be breaking down game number 53 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, defeating the Anaheim Ducks in what was a dominant victory, 9-2 here tonight. Another hat trick from Austin Matthews. We get a couple goals from Bobby McMann, and this kid continues to be stellar. Tyler Bertuzzi now on the board. Matthew Knies with a great game here tonight. And on top of all of that, Radko Gudas kind of comes away from this one looking like a little bit of a clown. Now, I'm not going to say that Radko Gudas is a soft player at all. I don't think that that's warranted given his history, what we've seen out of him, especially here as Leafs fans and what we've watched. But the way he conducted himself here tonight, I think it's pretty laughable for Leafs fans given how kind of he's played up the tough guy narrative, and he finally has an opportunity to go toe-to-toe with Ryan Reeves, who goes out there and puts himself in a spot to say, you know what? I'm in this lineup for toughness. I'm in this lineup for intimidation. I'll go after you. I will stick up for our team. Even retroactively, what Reeves wasn't here last year with this Leafs team when they lost to the Panthers and Gudas did the scream in Wall's face and all that stuff, which, by the way, maybe I'm in the minority here in all of this, but I had kind of completely forgot that that event even took place until it was brought up here again today. But nonetheless, Ryan Reeves ultimately wasn't happy with the fact that that had happened, even when he wasn't here on this team. And he said, you know what, I'm going to stick up for these guys. I'm going to stick up for my teammates currently, and I'm going to go out there and piss that guy off and make his life a little bit of hell here tonight. And Radko Gudas wanted absolutely nothing to do with Ryan Reeves. Instead, he decides, you know what, I'll fight Max Domi. So interesting night all around for this Leafs team. A pretty dominant win. We'll break it all down as well. We will take calls from people. If you do want to call in, you can either send me a message on Twitter at Zack Phillips, ZackPhill. You can send me a message on Instagram at Zack Phillips, ZackPhillips_. Or if you have me on Discord, you can send a message there. I'm happy to take calls from anybody here to hear their thoughts on this game here tonight, what went on with Austin Matthews, and the fact that what Sarah had tweeted out. I thought that was a pretty interesting tweet that I saw during the game here tonight. I'm going to try to pull it up so that I can get the number exactly right. But Frank tweeted out after Matthews got his got the hat trick, which obviously that is now 6 hat tricks on the season. There are over 500 players in the NHL this year who have 5 goals. Over 500 players in the NHL this year who have 5 goals. That's it. 5 goals. And Austin Matthews has 6 hat tricks. This Leafs team also goes 3 consecutive nights with hat tricks, starting with Bobby McMann, and then now back-to-back for Matthews here, moving to 48 on the season. And unfortunately for someone like myself, I was looking at this Matthews run, kind of looking as he was getting closer and closer to the 50 mark and thinking to myself, you know what, maybe I could find a way to be in the building for that 50th goal at some point here once they get back from this road trip. And I think for myself and my ability to see it in person, that's almost completely out the window here now. 48, they're going to play the Blues on Monday, the Coyotes on Wednesday, Vegas on Thursday, and then Saturday against the Colorado Avalanche. At this point, it feels like this will not be happening on home ice. Matthews will likely be locking this one down and getting 50 at some point here over the next couple of games. But this also puts him in a spot where you're looking at Austin Matthews as a guy who is very, very, very close to attaining that 70 goal mark on the season. I hope it happens. I'm going to sit here actually and go from a positive standpoint and say it will happen. I want to see Austin Matthews light it up here on this trip, continue the heater that he's on currently, roll this over into another 2-goal game on Monday, another 2-goal game on Wednesday, maybe pop a goal against Vegas, maybe you don't score against Colorado, and then you come back and we just rip through and get even closer to that 70-goal mark. I think that would be a pretty cool thing to see from the greatest Leaf of all time. Now, there was some stuff here in the chat before I got started. There was some bunch of super chats as well before we even kicked this thing off. So I don't want to make people wait any longer. Let's get into it. First and foremost, starting with the super chats. Robert Smith, starting there. Thank you, Robert, for the super chat. This one was sent during the game, as I'm sure you're going to be able to tell when I read it out here. Robert sent and said, "Come on, Mats, we want another hat trick." Well, Robert, thank you for the super chat. It appears like you you kind of manifested it into happening there, saying we wanted another hat trick. We got that hat trick. Back to back for Matthews, 6 hat tricks now on the season. And you know what? One of the funny things is too with Matthews is that he's one of those guys I think we looked at over the last couple of seasons, or before last season, a couple of seasons prior to that, about how many multi-goal games did this guy have where he just never got to that 3 mark. We would always look at Matthews like this premier goal scorer in the NHL, but it just felt like he was always evaded by these 3-goal games. He could never get to that milestone of getting the hat trick on a consistent basis. He'd get the 1, he'd get 2, he'd go on these heaters where he'd put up a couple, and then it was finally like last year, it felt like the dam broke on the Matthews hat trick, and once he broke through that wall, he got the hat tricks. It felt like they started coming in massive spurts. And now here we are sitting on the season at 53 games for the Leafs, 52 for Matthews, and he has 6 hat tricks. 6 hat tricks is pretty absurd to have on a season, especially where you're sitting with 30 games left in the year. 30 games left in the year. That is an absurd mark. It's pretty cool to see, but I hope that he can keep things rocking here. Thank you, Robert, for the super chat, and it definitely worked out well there for you because he did go on and get that hat trick. Couple more super chats. Derek Gamble. Derek, I appreciate the super chat. There's 2 from Derek here, but we'll start first and foremost with the first one. Derek says, our boy Bert and Maddie Hattie. Thoughts on the third? Our boy Bert, first and foremost, with Tyler Bertuzzi. I also have to cut the words first and foremost out of my vocabulary. I think I said it way too many times. I tried to remove the word and it appears that first and foremost has taken place. So let's get rid of that crutch. Apologies to everyone in the chat, but nonetheless, I think that might be another one anyway, as well. Anyways, Bertuzzi. Derek follows me on Twitter there. Derek had seen that I had tweeted out a couple of times over the last little while, or if you're watching the show that I do over on Edgework, the NHL betting show, Tyler Bertuzzi coming in at like plus 425, 450, 475 was an automatic bet for anytime goal scorer for me. It was just unfortunate because I just kept getting to the point where obviously he hadn't scored in a long time, and I'm sitting there watching this bet lose game after game after game after game, despite thinking, you know what, I think I'm getting the right number. I think I'm beating where the number should be. So finally I said, okay, pump the brakes. I haven't had this cash. I've been burning money on these Bertuzzi goals. It's not that I don't think he can do it, but I just don't want to have to continue to have to pay for this and have this one just not work out for myself or Bertuzzi, because at this point I might have been the jinx, and I started to kind of accept the fact that me putting money on it might have been something that was actually hurting this guy. Whether or not you believe in that kind of stuff, superstitions or jinxes or whatever, I was starting to hit the point in my head where I'm thinking, oh no, am I the reason that Tyler Bertuzzi can't score? So I lay off of it here tonight. What do you know? He gets it. And finally, I feel so good to see that one go through for so many reasons. One, I think that he was under a lot of pressure. He was under a lot of duress, having not seen the puck go in the back of the net, not being able to put up the points that he was probably expecting to when he's coming here to this team, kind of projecting himself to be launched into the top 6, playing with Matthews and Marner or Tavares and Nylander. He's kind of anticipating being able to put up a lot of points. And now I still have strongly believed that Tyler Bertuzzi was in a spot where it was going to come. I was not upset with his play over the last little while. There was definitely points in time where it was like, oh, it's dropping off. We're looking at it and he's like, yeah, you know what? He's not that good. He probably deserves to have a role reduction or minutes taken away because he is lacking in some of these departments. I pray to whatever hockey gods are out there that this is the one for Bertuzzi that breaks through for him and gives him the confidence he needs to kind of continue this, because I genuinely believe that over the last 2 to 3 weeks, what's gone on with Bertuzzi and his level of play has been that, to me, in my eyes, I felt like he's been impactful. I think he did some dumb stuff here and there that obviously is going to stick out even worse when it comes to a guy like that who's kind of deteriorating in the eyes of the fan base, and they're turning against him very quickly. And we have people coming in the chat looking for every single reason to ship this guy out of town. But I was okay with his level of play. I think that there is something to be said about the fact that you are going to start to lose confidence. That's going to take away from some stuff. You're not going to see the puck go through. Obviously, Sheldon Keefe's been pretty hard on him, whether it's publicly, if it's behind the scenes. You can just tell these things are eating away at him. And then finally to be able to score, and not only score, but score immediately after ringing the post on an empty netter on the pass from Matthews. It felt good because it was like, the amount of chances, the amount of shots this guy's getting, the amount of attempts, the amount of high danger opportunities he's putting himself into, and he's just not able to score. He's not able to see the puck go in the back of the net, was starting to be like, wow, this is really, really tough for him, the team, and the coaching staff. And then he hits that post, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, like this puck is never going to go in for him. He might not score until next season. Like the rate that this guy was on, the luck or the lack thereof of luck that this guy was having, where he just couldn't see the puck go in the back of the net, it was starting to get to that point where it's like he may never score again, hitting that post. And then 15, 20 seconds later, Austin Matthews gets the puck down at the side, makes a beautiful pass to Tyler Bertuzzi, who plants himself in the front and is able to put that one in just by having stick on the ice. I'm interested to see what happens here. I do want to take some calls and get some thoughts on from people about what's going on here. I've advocated for it. Not necessarily with this lineup, this roster, but splitting up the power plays. Then it became more evident to me where I was looking at, like, okay, we're going to chip away at Bertuzzi and the fact that he's not able to produce. He hasn't been putting up the points. He hasn't been scoring. Well, then we look back to Boston. He was playing on the number one lines there. He was playing on the number one power play. So he's going to be put in more favorable positions to score. So maybe that's something that needs to happen here. John Tavares is obviously a premier power play player. I'm wondering if there's just a different way to structure this power play to get the most of it. Matthews, you probably want out there for all 2 minutes, but why not go with two separate units where you split these guys out? You could put Bertuzzi on the first unit there, put JT on the second unit, and then have Matthews play for both. Obviously, that's a little bit of a stretch of thinking there, and we're going to kind of extend ourselves out and put ourselves in a less favorable position in terms of Matthews being out there for 2 minutes, and obviously John Tavares is a guy that you want in the power play, but Bertuzzi, if you want the most out of the player, that might be the best way to get it out of him. That might be the best way to maximize his ability from an offensive production standpoint, where you jam him in there on that power play. He can scoop up rebounds. He can tip pucks. He can get in front of the goaltender. He can get in eyes. He can piss people off in front, win net front battles. Do what he did here tonight, where he gets his stick on the ice, gets positioning, and is able to tap that one in from Matthews. So, I don't know. I'm just really happy to see the puck go in the back of the net for Bertuzzi here tonight. There was some other stuff Derek said here, so we'll continue to get to this as well. But Derek said, Matty Hattie, yeah, we'll continue to talk about that throughout the show. But Derek, like, amazing to see this guy, 48 on the season here, 6th hat trick of the year. The stuff that he's doing as a goal scorer is absolutely incredible. I said it a couple of years ago. I've heard some other people here now say it, mostly in the Toronto area. I think outside of here, people are really hesitant to admit that anybody who wears the Maple Leaf sweater could be good at anything or the best at anything. Austin Matthews is the best goal scorer in the NHL. Is he the best player in the NHL? No. Is he the most valuable player in the NHL? That's up for debate, but I'd say still right now, maybe not. Is he the best goal scorer in the NHL? Yes, he is. And I'm not even willing to kind of, I mean, hey, you want to disagree with me? I'll hear you out, but this is one that you're going to have to really convince me otherwise, because I'm saying this one with conviction. Austin Matthews is currently the greatest goal scorer in the NHL. I think he took that title over from Alex Ovechkin a few years ago, kind of starting in that year when we were in the bubble, and he absolutely lit it up, won the Rocket then continues it over into the 60-goal year. This guy's the best goal scorer in the NHL. This is his crown. Distancing himself the way that he has over the past couple of games from a guy like Sam Reinhart, where you're sitting there being like, oh yeah, it's so impressive what Matthews has done, but also look how close Reinhart is. Like, if Reinhart's that close, is it that impressive? Look at the gap now. You know, like, look at how things have been opened up by Matthews, the determination, the ability to score in basically any fashion that he would like, whether it's one-timers, whether it's straight one-on-one against the goaltender wrist shots, if it's tucking it in using power moves or beating goaltenders one-on-one for breakaways, wraparounds, tipping pucks, like it does not matter. Austin Matthews finds ways to score, and he is incredibly good at it. Incredibly good at it. I believe now he has 34 goals or 33 goals in his last 31 games played, which would date back to December 2nd. I saw Jonas tweet that one out during the game here tonight. Like, this guy's insane. He is insane. He's on another world or on another planet. Another point here by Derek. Thoughts on the third? I would kind of just say in terms of the third, this is when you expect to be a little bit sleepier. You've got a big lead. You're not going to put your big boys out there that much. They're obviously still going to get playing time. You're not just going to sit them for the entire third, but you do kind of take some minutes away there. You're going to put out Reeves and Kampf and McMahon and Robertson and let those guys kind of take over the minutes a little bit from different perspectives. Obviously, you don't want your top guys getting hurt, but you also just don't need to run up the score at that point. You should, in theory, be able to trust the remainder of your roster, the lower end of your roster, to kind of get you through what you were looking at with an 8-1 lead. You're just hoping that those guys can at least hold on to that. If it starts to get close again, I'm sure you start to ramp up the minutes of some of the other guys, those top guys. But I mean, when we're going to look at the third, obviously it's a little bit more sloppy, but it's primarily kind of your depth pieces taking over minutes-wise, being put into those positions, and now facing off against some of the higher-end players on the Anaheim Ducks for what they have. So with that third period, it is what it is. It's not like it's like the greatest period ever, but you get through it. You're healthy. You close this one out with a win. I think you can be happy about that. Another super chat here. Derek Gamble again. Derek, appreciate the super chats. Thank you very much. Derek says, I was pissed Reeves didn't go. Would have been perfect. Yeah, I think he was probably a willing participant in each of those situations. That's not one where you're looking at going, hey, Reeves, it's a tight game. We don't need you taking these instigating penalties or whatever. You want to send a message. You're more than welcome to send a message. You're here as an instigator. You're here as a kind of like an intimidation factor to back up the boys. You see some silly stuff starting to happen there in the third where there's a couple shifts where it felt like, hey, this one might get out of hand just in terms of guys taking runs at each other, whatever. Reeves clearly went out there and was like, hey, I will do whatever it takes. I think that the Ducks were just kind of in it, kind of not in it, but I'm certain that if they were ready to fight Ryan Reeves, he was going to be ready to go. Too bad, yeah, he didn't. I guess from his standpoint where, like, that's him, his goal scoring, that's him getting on the sheet, doesn't happen for him here tonight. But, I mean, again, it's like, I don't think he played a bad game. I don't think he played a bad games over the last like week or so that he's kind of been having to fill into this lineup with the injuries, the sicknesses that you've seen of these guys who are coming down on these guys. I'm happy with Ryan Reeves. Like, it's fine. It's fine. And you can kind of tell that there's some type of impact that's being made on this lineup here as well. We do have more super chats, so I want to get to those. I don't want to skip anything anybody's saying, but there are a bunch here. I will try to read everything that's going on in the chat, but I'm sure as you guys see what's going on with you guys being so active in there, it can be hard to read every single comment that's coming in. If the super chats are there, I will read all of the super chats 100%. So again, it's not that you guys have to send these. I appreciate that you do, but if you are like, hey, I need this question answered, I really want this question answered, that's kind of the easiest way to differentiate some of these. I'm sorry, that's just the honest truth about how it goes. Here we go with another super chat here in the chat. Also, Derek, thank you. I appreciate it. But, I mean, I also appreciate the fact that you guys are sending super chats here. So I do want to give you guys the time and the respect that you deserve for having sent those. I appreciate it. I appreciate you hanging out with me here after these games. So, yeah, I mean, it's no big deal to continue to read these out and take some time on them because they are also relative to the game and what happened here. So I'm going to continue to read them. The Morning Star, thank you, The Morning Star, for the super chat. The Morning Star says, how much stock do you put in this win against the team they should beat? Do you go all in this year with Matthews going off? Part of me thinks it's not the year to do it. Part of me thinks you have to. I mean, we'll do two-parters here. So the first part would be the Morningstar asking how much stock do you put in this win against a team they should beat. This is like a catch-22 situation, right? Because with this Leafs team traditionally, like, you almost expect them to lose these games or be in these tight games or end up tied late or having to fight back and win or whatever. You're going to get goalied, whatever it is. So that's kind of a sad statement on its own, just in terms of who this team has been for basically 8 years here now with this group and with this core of guys. Now, there's kind of the flip side where it's like, okay, you should beat the team like this. So now you do beat them, and it's like, well, we're not going to pat you on the back because you should have beat this team. This is going to come across as a disrespectful analogy. The pause that I just had there was whether or not I wanted to say it, but I think that this is probably the best way to give this as an example. These games are a lose-lose situation for the Leafs and probably the fans here as well. And let me explain why. And it goes to what happens if you're in the gym and you see an NBA player in there. It's not the best three-point shooter in the world, but is a guy who's in the NBA. Maybe he's a bench player. And you challenge him to a three-point competition. What's in it for him? He should beat you. And if he does beat you, there's no pat on the back for him. There's no congratulations to that NBA player for beating your everyday guy, for going into the gym and challenging him in a three-point competition and beating that guy. There's no kudos, there's no props. He should beat you. But on the flip side, he loses that. It's embarrassing. He's questioning his career, whether he should do this. Media are coming out and talking about this guy stinks. He lost to an amateur, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's just no real winning here for those guys. And I kind of relate it here to this Leafs team and playing some of these teams, because it's like they should beat them. You do beat them. No one's going to give them the praise. What I would say is I don't really put that much stock into it in terms of the bigger picture of things. I am happy, though, in an isolated scenario to look at this and say, you showed up here tonight right from the beginning. Like, from the drop of the puck, you took it to the Ducks. You didn't let them get close. You never let this become a game. Whether it was physicality, whether it was speed, if it was offensive production, if it was going into the offensive zone and maintaining possession, whatever, this Leafs team found a way to kind of dominate the game from the drop of the puck to the final buzzer of the game. And I think that deserves a kudos, because it felt like probably one of the most complete games. It felt like they were all sticking up for each other, and this just kind of felt like a team win, even though you get Nylander on the board, Matthews a 3, fucking Bobby McMahon just blacking out here and scoring another 2 here tonight. Like, what is going on with Bobby McMahon? But this is not necessarily, hey, I'm putting stock into this win. You should beat this team 100%. But I am happy with how they handled it. I'm just happy with, like, you showed up from the beginning, you closed it out strong, you got the win. You're all good there. Like, this was just like felt like a pretty good win. So no, I'm not taking stock in it for long term, but happy with it on a 1-game situation. Another super chat here. Actually, a little bit of a tease. That was a psych. I have a second part to the Morningstar's super chat that I didn't answer. I've talked about it a lot, but the Morningstar asking, do you go all in this year with Matthews going off? Part of me thinks it's not the year to do it. Part of me thinks you have to. I I still don't think you go all in. I think you can tinker, but I don't think that this is the year that you're going and dumping off first round picks, second round picks, third round picks to go all in and put all of your chips in to try to improve this team just because Austin Matthews is potentially going to score 70 goals. I just don't think it's the right way to handle the assets that you have here right now. I don't think it's proper asset management for this team in the short term or the long term. The only way that I would go on the other way of this and say, okay, yeah, I'm willing to spend some more, I'm willing to go out and acquire those guys, is if it's a guy who either has term already or is willing to re-sign with you, and you know that before you acquire them. So a lot of times teams will allow the player's agent to kind of go out and speak with some other teams, find a fit, or find like, hey, we're going to extend here, this is where we'd like to go, whatever. Then it can kind of up the ante of saying like, hey, this player's going to sign with you, we're going to want more out of that. That player gets their signs extension, whatever. You know those things are going to be coming. I would only really be willing to like alter my thought process on it if it gets to that point. If you know like, hey, this guy's going to have 2 more years after this. He's got 3 years, or he's expiring at the end of the season, but he does want to sign back and he's going to be an impactful piece. Like, I'm not talking about your 5th, 6th defensemen here. I'm talking about top 4 defensemen. I'm talking about a guy who could be your 3 seed, like those kinds of ideas. And those are the only way that I would do it. Outside of that, I really don't think that this is the year you push all these chips in. I know what Matthews is doing. I know how special it is. I know how incredible this is. It's just, to me, it's just not the right time. I don't think that this team right now is necessarily playing at the level it needs to be to instill confidence in the ownership group or in the management group that's here to look at them and say, you deserve for us to go out and spend all these pieces to try to improve this team, when this has been done year after year after year after year here now, and we haven't really seen playoff success other than one series win, and then in the second round you win 1 game. So just kind of how I look at it, I know what Matthews is doing, but it also adds to my point and my thought process with this team that you treat this like a Florida situation last year. You treat this like these teams who are kind of in the middle, who are looking to make some tinkering moves and bring in a player or 2 players, but they're not really like over the top players. They're not guys who are going to push you up into the position of like, yeah, we're all in and we are clear cut Stanley Cup contenders. We're not the Vegases, we're not Colorados, any of that. I think that you approach this team with that, let's tinker, see where we're at, get some lower end guys if that's what you want to do. You're not spending big, you push on. Another super chat here. CD Corn with the super chat. CD, thank you very much. And CD coming in hot with the soup check here. The temperature check on the soup. CD Corn, buddy, I don't even have to tell you how many first degree burns I'm getting tonight. Only thing hotter is slamming Gudis for my Masters pick. -4 day. CD Corn, pretty funny comments. Round of applause to you there.
Good one, Randy. Good one.
And on top of that, soup was hot here tonight. I mean, when you're talking about this team and how they normally show up against these lower end teams in the standings, or guys or teams that you expect them to be able to pump, even if they do win games against these teams, oftentimes it doesn't come away like this one. This 9-2 victory here tonight, like, this was a dominant win from start to finish and felt really, really good. It felt good to see Bertuzzi on the board. Felt good to see that Nylander goal. Bobby McMahon getting a couple again. Matthews with another hat trick. Like, those are all the things that you're looking at there. And then on top of that, Martin Jones in net. Pretty well played. The team played pretty well defensively here. I think Jones played pretty decent given what he was kind of faced with. And think about being an NHL goaltender in this situation where you're not really facing many shots in general. On top of that, you're not really facing sorry, I got distracted by the other comment there that came in. you're not really facing high danger chances. So for a guy like Martin Jones, maybe he's not going to fully get into the rhythm of things. Maybe he's not going to fully be comfortable within it or like on top of his game the entire time. But given the circumstances, I think he played pretty well. Another super chat here. The man, the myth, the legend, Max Entius Decimus. Max, thank you for the super chat. Max says, first 3-game hat-trick streak since 2009-2010 Caps. Yes, I thought that was pretty cool as well. I was hoping Bobby McMann was going to get a third here in this game. Instead, he follows it up with what was a heroic effort on the Nick Robertson goal, kind of diving. You're winning 8-2 at this point, and Bobby McMann still bringing the pressure, bringing the heat, bringing the intensity down in Anaheim zone, diving to make a stopping play, get the puck back, turn it back over, make a pass over to Nick Robertson in the slot, who then buries it to make it 9-2. Like, I was hoping to be able to get the double hat tricks here. I thought that would have been pretty cool, especially because it would have been McMann, Matthews, and then if McMann had scored that final one, he kind of would have closed out his hat trick on the other side of it. So it would have been started by him and kind of closed out by him over these last 3 games. I thought that would have been a cool thing to kind of have witnessed here as well. Didn't happen, but Bobby McMann, another 2. No reason that he doesn't get 3 on Monday against the Blues. The way that this guy's rocking right now, it feels very possible that he could be able to put up 3 on Monday. Another super chat here. Steven Land, thank you for the first super chat here on this channel. We do appreciate that. Steven says, hi, Zach, wear the Bieber jersey and show the nameplate. If you're talking about the dark jersey that I have, it's a Matthews jersey, if that's what you're looking for. I'm not going to get it right now. Get up and disrupt the stream to get the jersey. I do appreciate the super chat there, but yeah, I'll wear it on the next one. We got, 4 games this week, including Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. So I'll rip that jersey a bunch throughout this week. Bunch of Leafs memorabilia and stuff. Sorry for the yawning. I was going to wear the All-Star sweater that I have. Not a jersey, not an All-Star jersey. The All-Star actual sweater that I have. And decided not to because it is quite warm in this room here right now. And then when I get these lights going and they're all close up on me like this, it just somehow gets even hotter. So then I was not really looking to be sweating wearing a gray sweater here on camera in front of you guys. So that's why that one's not on here. But yeah, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat there, Steven. Yeah. And I see some comments here as well, and the other thought process in all of this is like what you guys are saying with how do we take away from this game, or what are our thoughts on this game. This was also no Morgan Riley here again. You've now won 3 games without him. You beat St. Louis, you beat the Flyers, and then here tonight you beat Anaheim, sorry, the game that I just watched, the Ducks. You've now won 3 without Riley. Your record without him continues to improve. I still believe the Ewing effect is strong here. Tavares is out with minor injuries. Gio obviously dealing with family stuff. Condolences to him. Hope everything's okay there from a mental standpoint. So sad to hear about that. Obviously, I see Derek saying that in the chat and other people bringing up as well. Michael Farina there bringing up. So obviously condolences to him and his family. Those guys go out. Next man up. Next man up. Like, this is just a next man up situation that you're seeing with this team right now. And that's one thing that I think has kind of been fun to watch with some of these guys that Tree Living has brought in. What I mean is, in the past, you see, oh, okay, we're going to bring up a guy or two from the Marlies, and maybe they kind of get comfortable, or it's not like this crazy drive that we've seen out of some of these players. You also lost Lagesson during this game. Like, you lose Riley, now Lajoie, Lagesson, they've got to step up. Benoit, McCabe, they're going to have to step up, take on some more matchups, heavy matchups, tougher matchups, more minutes, like all that kind of stuff. There's a lot that's going on, and they've been up to the task. Like, there has not felt like a point over this 3-game stretch. Now, mind you, it's been against lower end teams, but there has not really been a point during this 3-game stretch that I think we could walk away and say, like, these guys who have stepped up in these positions just haven't been good enough. I think they've filled in really well. I think that McMahon and Holmberg and even Domi being asked for a little bit more here, seeing Legason, seeing these guys. Yeah, that's where I'm at. All right, Steven. Maybe we'll get to it. Maybe at some point here. Keep hitting the like button. We're 3 away from 50. Let's get to 50 likes here on the stream, and yeah, we'll get to smelling salts. We'll continue to rock here. We have a couple more things, and again, if people do want to call in, give their thoughts on anything, send me a message. I'm happy to take some callers here on the stream tonight. Happy to hear people's thoughts, but also, yes, definitely exhausted right now. It was a long week of work and Leafs games that were being covered as well. Just tired right now. Not going to lie to you guys. Super chat. Max Antias Decimus. Max, thank you for the super chat. Max says, should we thank Ridley Gregg for waking the beast? It's funny that Max says this because when it happened, there was a lot of people who reached out to me. There was a lot of people in the chats. There's a lot of conversation about, is this a turning point? Is this something that will galvanize the group and kind of get people bought in, I guess is the best way to put it. Is this going to turn these top players into wake them up kind of, and essentially kind of look around the room, look at a guy like Morgan Rielly who's jumping in there to defend not a specific player, but defend literally the honor and pride of this organization and the logo that's on the front of the Maple Leaf sweater. That's what Morgan Rielly did this for. And I think that that's kind of one of those moments that when someone does something like that, it's not just sticking up for your goalie or getting mad at a guy for doing something that's just disrespectful to the players on your team. That's disrespectful in the eyes of these guys to the organization, to the jersey, to the fans, the Leafs fans, like just as a whole. I don't necessarily have a problem with what Ridley Gregg did, but I do genuinely believe that that is something that is a sign of disrespect. And I think that with the code of conduct that's being implemented in the NHL for over 100 years now, every single person in the world knew that that was going to be a reaction. Listen to Adam Henrique and Braden Shen and Anthony Stewart and PK Subban. Every single one of these guys that talks about it, Jeff O'Neill, every time they've brought up this conversation, it's like, he had to do something. That reaction was warranted. He needed to respond. He needed to go after Ridley Gregg. Like, that needed to happen. This is not something we've seen out of this Leafs team for a long time. Is players sticking up for just even the team as a whole and not necessarily an individual player. And to see Morgan Rielly kind of go out there and defend the honor of the crest, I loved seeing that. I was really happy with it. But then I kept getting asked questions. Is this something that wakes up this team? Is this something that makes these guys buy in and fire up this group? We'll see what happens here moving forward. We'll see what happens with this team when Morgan Rielly comes back, when they start playing some more tougher competition, to see how they live up to it and if they continue to bring this energy and this intensity. As of right now, it feels like it probably did spark them a little bit. Like, this seems like the kind of stuff that Ryan Reeves is probably looking there going, I love that. I loved seeing that. I loved seeing what Rielly did, how he responded, how he jumped in, and this is what we needed. This is what this Leafs team needed. Now, the excitement that's brought from him, from Rielly, from other players watching that happen, I feel like it can kind of permeate throughout the remainder of the group, get everyone else to buy in, and I hope that this is something that can continue. The game against St. Louis, the game here tonight, these were pretty commanding wins by this Leafs team. The one against the Flyers, I think, lacked some stuff. In the third period, it felt like they just kind of fell off a little bit, but I mean, you got it done, you found a way, and you closed that one out and still managed to get 2 points or in a win there. So, yeah, I don't know. I was asked about this a lot. I feel like in a small sample size of these few games that we've watched without Riley here now, it's felt like they've been a little bit more inspired, a little bit more fired up. We'll see what happens over a bigger sample size of games and in a longer picture. You guys did hit, or a bigger picture, I guess. You guys did hit the likes. You hit 50 here on the stream, so we appreciate that. Let's get to it. I want to hit the smelling salts here. Thank you to everyone who's stopped by. Thanks to everyone who has hit the like button on the stream. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed here. Still trying to get this thing up to 2,000 subscribers, 2,500 if we can get there. So keep hitting like, keep subscribing, keep sharing the channel, all that good stuff. Thanks so much for the support. Let's hit the smelling salts here. Thank you. Whoa. Whoa. I did see a question in the chat as well. Can we just pay for smelling salts? Obviously, I would like for you guys to hit the like button. I'm not ever going to ask for you to pay to do anything. I will never do that on the channel. The only reason I've talked about this stuff with the super chats is when the chat starts buzzing. If people send super chats, I will answer them 100%. I won't miss any of the super chats that come through. So it's just an easy way for those to make sure that your chat gets prioritized. You guys get rocking here and this chat gets buzzing. So I love that you guys participate, chat back and forth with each other. I'm all for it. It just can sometimes get harder to pick out individual questions that are going on in the chat and be able to answer those while we're live here. So the super chats, they go to it. But if you do want to pay for salts, like, you're more than welcome to do that. You guys can do that. I'll do smelling salts if you guys want that. I mean, I guess maybe there has to be a threshold for it, but yeah, we can do that if that's what you guys would like. Okay. I see here that I'm being asked again to put on the jersey. Give me 2 seconds. Let me find something here, and then I'll put on I'll put on a jersey for you guys. The jersey you guys are asking for. Just give me a sec. You guys don't need to be seeing what's going on behind the scenes, so. All right. There we go. I'll put it on. Steven wanted to see the back, the nameplate. That's it. I'll put it on here for the remainder of the stream. Sick jersey, though. Tie down, too, and everything. All right, there we go. See, Matthew's picture, Matthew's jersey that gets thrown on. There you go. Steven. Handshake. I have no idea what size it is. Don't you think it's wild Austin comes from the desert like a messiah? I mean, I guess. I don't know. It's just from Arizona. The Robertsons are from California. Super chat here. Max, thank you for the super chat. Max NTS Decimus sends another super chat. And, of course, there's one thing that this sicko would send here. Sicko, respectfully, with all love, Taylor Swift, whatever the little Taylor Swift thing is. All love. Max says, sniff it again. Yeah, also, I hear, I see the people in the chat talking about these jerseys. I love this jersey. Look, I'm all for the history, the tradition of the Leafs jerseys. I'm all for the fact that this is being an organization that's taken pride in the kind of the simplicity of it. I think they're widely recognized, the Leafs jerseys, that is, and their uniforms, as some of like the nicest, like classiest jerseys, just because of how clean and simple and recognizable they are. Like, you can basically take Leafs jerseys from any generation and you'd be easily be able to tell, like, oh yeah, those are Leafs jerseys. Like, there's no discrepancy in it. This jersey I think is so cool because it still fits into kind of the Leafs design in terms of like the base. Like, it's got the same fonts. The logo is the same design in terms of how it's drawn, right? Like, obviously the colors on it are different, but the actual logo itself, it's still the regular maple leaf logo. The stripe at the bottom is the same as the jerseys. The stripes on the arm are the same. Like, everything about it is all the same as the other ones. They just mixed up the color schemes and gave us this sharp jersey that is different than anything this team has ever worn, and yet it still always just feels like it's like tied back to that the history and like what we know and love about Maple Leafs jerseys. Like, it just is. It's just in that spot of, hey, these still have all the main important pieces of the Leafs ones, but it's something different and clean and like that. It's sharp. It's a sharp jersey. I love this. I love these jerseys. I love these jerseys. And it does have the inverse. Extra cool. Extra cool. The Bieber jersey. It's cool to see these guys buy in. Like, I don't care whether I don't care what people think about it. Of like, oh, like, why are you associated with Bieber? Whatever. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I think it's a smart move by the NHL. I think it's a smart move by the Leafs to kind of associate themselves with that. The Raptors did it with Drake. Seemed to have worked out for them from a brand recognition perspective. A few other things in the chat here. I see you guys are all buzzing around out here about stuff that went on here tonight in tonight's game. One thing I do want to get to, and someone in the chat is going to be pretty pissed off. I feel like there might be some other people. Thank God Tyler Bertuzzi scored. I know I touched on it a little bit earlier, but thank God he scored, and I'm really, really hoping that this can parlay itself into him kind of getting some confidence and getting his feet under him and turn this into like a successful remainder of the season. I just read Steven's comment. That's why I paused there. Steven said, thanks, Zach. Really means a lot to wear. You are the best. Thank you, Steven. I'm glad I could do that for you. I would have had you do 9 jumping jacks for the fun of it. If I can ask for laughs, that would be cool. Steven, I don't know about that one. I'm not sure about the 9 jumping jacks. That might be a no guy for me. Might be a no for me. Thank you, but that one might be a no. I got the jersey on. I rock that. I appreciate the support. I think the jumping jacks are off the table. Maybe we could do some other type of stream sometime where there's some stupid stuff mixed in, where it's jumping jacks and push-ups and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think that this is the one here tonight. But yeah, Tyler Bertuzzi, really happy to see him score. He was getting the chances. He was getting opportunities. Finally, it comes through. Finally, he's able to bury. I'm really happy about that. I'm happy that he found a way. And I'm happy that it came on the power play as well. I feel like a little bit justified myself there, having talked about what he did with Boston, what he did with Detroit, him being on those power play units, getting that time. And it's like, obviously, this gets to a spot where you take away the fact that this guy's playing on a first power play unit or playing on a number 1 line. What do you think is going to happen to his offensive production? It's going to fall off from where it was before. Now, obviously, his level of play has to kind of earn him some ice time and earn him those opportunities. But at the same time, like, you can't just look at a guy, put him in a lesser position than he's been playing in throughout his career, and then be like, what the hell happened here? Why can't you score? that's my thoughts on the Bertuzzi situation. I'm glad to see him score here tonight. Another player I think had a really, really good night here tonight, and I want to talk about a little bit, Matthew Knies. Over the last little while, people have also been harsh on him, saying send him to the third line, send him to the Marlies. I've seen a lot of those comments. We've had these debates here on this channel. We've had people call in and give thoughts on that stuff on this channel. Like, it's been a contentious topic here about the fact that him and Bertuzzi haven't been producing. Look, I think that the two of them have been playing well over the last little while. We obviously get the nice goal against the Sens there the other night. You get the Bertuzzi goal here tonight. Aside from that, I think that this was a very, very big coming out party game for Matthew Knies. It's not like he went crazy with stats or anything here tonight. It's not like this is one of those games that we're gonna walk away from and be like, oh wow, like Matthew Knies has arrived. Like, that's not what I'm saying. My situation with Knies and my thoughts on what he brought to the table here tonight was just that he was very involved in forechecks. He was winning battles. He was making good plays. He was making good passes. He was involved in net front opportunities. He was fighting for stuff. He was winning battles. Like, there was a lot of good things that were going on for this guy. I think he looked comfortable. He looked calm on that first line. I think that this was a very, very good game for Matthew Knies here tonight. And again, on top of that, the fact that he was able to get on the board and contribute to a bunch of the Leafs opportunities, it's just a bonus. Like, 2 assists, he's a +1, 2 shots on goal. Obviously, would like to see him shoot more. He had 5 hits, which is tied for Ryan Reeves to lead all forwards on the Leafs here tonight in hits. Him and Reeves both at 5, Bertuzzi at 4. This was just one of those. I think Matthew Knies looked really good. I think he looked really good in this game. I'm happy with him being on this team, and I think people need to pump the brakes. But to me, this was one of those justification games where I was like, yep, this is another one. He looked really good here tonight. Shout out to him. Shout out to Simon Benoit as well. Another guy I want to kind of give that credit to for how he played tonight. This is just a good game for the Leafs. This is a good game. Good game for your special teams. I need to pull that stat up so I get it completely right here. But, Matthews, 3 goals, 2 assists. This guy goes crazy here tonight. The Leafs power play opportunities, 5. Power play goals, 4. You go 80% here. Obviously, not as good of a team with the Anaheim Ducks, but it's still, make your power play work. Get it done. Get it done. And they did. Shout out to the Leafs on this game here tonight. Shout out to Nick Robertson, the goal late. I was very impressed with this team. Let's get out of here. A couple things to wrap up before we leave. First and foremost, let's get to our play of the game as well. If you haven't hit that like button already, please like the stream, subscribe here to the channel. I appreciate all the support, but we'll close this one out. We have a bunch of games coming up this week. I'm going to figure out what we'll do on Wednesday and Thursday, by the way, for everyone in the chat. Maybe that this is maybe these are watch-along games. They're going to be starting late Eastern time. I think both start at 10 o'clock. I don't think that doing a post-game stream is something that you guys will enjoy as much. I'm not really sure, especially considering it's going to be starting at 12:45, 1 o'clock. I'll put out a poll in the community. You guys can let me know, respond, tell me whether you want to watch along, tell me if you want to post game, but those are the ones coming up, Wednesday against Arizona, Thursday against Vegas, both 10 o'clock start times. Monday and Saturday will be normal streams as always, post game shows, so don't worry about those, but I'll put out some stuff. You guys let me know whether you want to watch alongs or you want post games. They're going to be late ones, so we'll figure it out. But let's get to our final stuff here. Let's get to our play of the game. Okay, play of the game. You know what? I'm going with play of the game is Matthews 3. The reason I'm giving it to Matthews 3 is because it started with what was a great net front battle by Matthew Knies. He kind of seemed to be finding himself in a great high danger opportunities in front of the net here tonight a few different times where he was making power moves to the front. He was winning battles. He wasn't getting pushed around. He wasn't getting pushed off the puck. Like, Matthew Knies, I think, had a great game, and it kind of started from that. He works his way to the front. He kind of stick handles in a phone booth, turns around, tries to get a shot off. Obviously, it gets deflected, and it's going to go wide, but then Matthews is there to tip that one in and get his third goal of the night and just continue to expand the lead. That, I think, in itself is very deserving just because I think the whole play, how happy I was with Matthew Knies here tonight. Honorable mention will go to Bobby McMann, bar down. That shot was disgusting, and that also comes with the confidence that you're having of being a guy who's relied upon by Sheldon Keefe. You're trusted by Sheldon Keefe. You're very clearly liked and trusted by the other players on this team, including Austin Matthews. Like, every time Bobby McMann scores, the camera just flashes to him, and he's smiling ear to ear that Bobby McMann is scoring. That kind of stuff is awesome. I love the camaraderie. I love these guys buying into each other. It makes it more and more like a team atmosphere. Like, these guys actually give a shit about each other. That goal was incredible, and that is just a confidence goal. You have the confidence to take that shot from that spot on the ice. Shout out to Bobby McMann. He's been playing really, really well lately, and he deserved that one. Another honorable mention, Bertuzzi. The goal Bertuzzi scores, not necessarily because it's some disgusting goal or anything like that. It was a nice pass by Matthews for sure, but it's the fact that Bertuzzi gets the monkey off his back. My roommate and I are sitting there waiting for him to take the monkey and throw it into the stands. Obviously doesn't. It's more of just a sigh of relief from Bertuzzi at that point, but like, thank God he got on the board because now I'm gonna be now you guys. You doubted me. You doubted Bertuzzi. I think you guys are going to be proven wrong for the rest of the way, and I hope that it starts here tonight. Another one, this is lower down on the mentions list, but this is definitely worthy. Domi fighting Gudas, first and foremost. And then second, Gudas being just a piece of shit who won't fight Reeves, won't go after him, or won't stick up to him. Like, none of that stuff has nothing to do with Ryan Reeves. Goes and cross-checks Bobby McMann after he scores, and Max Domi comes flying over and hits him into their goaltender after, because you just don't do that. You don't do that to the Maple Leafs. You don't do that to their teammates. You don't do that to the line mates. None of that. You just don't do it, and Max Domi goes in and sticks up for them. Shout out to Max Domi here tonight. He's been a guy who's been under pressure here as well, but I love what he's bringing. I'm happy with him. Let's close this thing out. Grades of the game.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Grades of the game. You guys drop yours in the chat. I want to see what everyone else is coming in at. I'm very close to an A+, but I think for me to get to an A+, I need like a perfect game. This is not a perfect game. There's room for improvement, so I'm not going to the A+. I'm going with an A. This is like a high A. You're close to the A+. You're probably a couple mistakes, a couple brain farts away from the A+. This is just an A for me. There's not too much that goes into this. It's like you score 9 goals, you have good special teams, you get 3 from Matthews, you get a goal from Nylander, you get Bertuzzi, take the monkey off his back, Robertson, another goal there. I mean, McMahon too, he's got 5 in his last 3 games. Like, this kind of stuff, it makes you feel good. It's just, you can't put too much stock into it like we've talked about. This is an A game. This is just an A game for me. I'm good at this. I'm happy you get in, you get out. You're missing Riley, you're missing Tavares, you're missing Giordano, but this is a good win all around. So that's my grade of the game. Willie, 500th career point as well, by the way. Shout out to that. Shout out Mario Kart for reminding me. Willie, 500th career point. I can't wait for Matthews to score 70 this year. It's going to be sick. It's going to be sick. That's going to do it for me for the stream here tonight. Thanks to everyone who tuned in. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate everyone who continues to come back. Those who are new, please hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel. Hopefully you enjoyed the show tonight. For those of you who have come back and you're not subscribed, I don't know what you're doing. You hit that subscribe button. It's easy as that. You can also turn on notifications so you get notified every single time I go live here on this channel or new videos drop. As we get closer and closer to the trade deadline, there's going to be a lot more content coming out of this channel, so you won't want to miss any of it. Thank you guys so much for the support here on the channel tonight. Thank you for joining in on the stream. I appreciate it as always. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the likes, subscribes, all that kind of stuff. This has been game 53 against the Anaheim Ducks winning 9-2 here tonight and moving to 29-16-8 on the season. See you guys on Monday. Keep believing.